Hey guys, pardon my appearance. I haven't showered today. I had a retrieval yesterday and got my day one update today, which didn't go well. So I'm just kind of glad I was even able to get out of bed today. And it occurred to me that I haven't made a video for you guys updating you on what's been happening in quite a while. I actually just checked my last video to see where we left off, and I'm actually kind of surprised to say that I've actually done now almost 2 full IVF cycles since I last made a video, and we did genetic testing on the embryos that I have. So there's lots to say. So I think I was last saying that I had wanted to do the genetic testing on the embryos that I had at the time, but my doctor encouraged me not to and was suggesting that he thought that I probably needed one more cycle. And it turns out that he wasn't wrong. And so we did one more cycle and then did the genetic testing. The second cycle that I did with my new doctor, the stimulation part went pretty well. Not quite as well as the first one I did with him, but it was like pretty good. I did notice that partway through the stimulation, one of my ovaries decided to stop cooperating for a few days, which has happened before, and basically just means that some of those follicles in that ovary will like drop off, like they'll stop getting bigger, so then there's like fewer that reach maturity at the right time in that ovary. And the other thing that I've kind of noticed after doing as many cycles as I've now done, which I'm like kind of shocked to say, I just finished my sixth cycle. Sorry, I forget what I was gonna say. So yeah, right. So then when my ovary stops cooperating, I find that like that cycle for some reason, even after the retrieval with the fertilization and everything, it doesn't go as well. So with my first cycle with my doctor, I think we got like around 17 mature eggs, and almost all of them fertilized normally. And like I think we had like 14 of them fertilized normally, and then we got I think 4 day 6 embryos, and then we ended up testing them. 2 were genetically normal and 1 was like the best type of mosaic, which I didn't know much about this beforehand, but the type of mosaic I have, most likely if it was retested, would come back as normal. So that was good, but again, hindsight's 2020. So then we did another cycle, and I think we got like a similar number of eggs. There was like slightly fewer mature, like I think we got like 16 or 17 eggs, but like 12 were mature instead of like 16 this time. But then the fertilization rate was like super low. Trying to remember how many fertilized. I think it was something like only 6 fertilized. And so if you have, like, I think it's 70%, could be 80%, I can't quite remember. If your fertilization level is below 70-ish%, that's abnormal, that's a bad thing, and it's a major red flag. And I've had that happen before with my previous doctor, so I was kind of surprised to see it happen that time. And then we did the genetic testing on all the cycles that hadn't been tested. So what we ended up with were 5 normal embryos and then 1 mosaic, which, as I was saying, if it was retested, it probably would come back normal. So that's great. And like a lot of people would say, oh, if you want 2 kids, that's probably all you need. But my lab, my clinic, holds on to like the D grade embryos, which a lot of clinics like essentially throw away. So I think 2 of my euploid embryos were D grades, which is like not good. And I had done some research to my trusty friend ChatGPT to see what the live birth rate of those kind of grade of embryos are, because some people, and my doctor like less so than others, but to a point he was saying, yeah, I agree that like the morphology or how an embryo looks can predict a little bit of the live birth rate, but like obviously the most important thing we all agree on is if it's euploid or not. So ChatGPT was saying that these 2 like D grade embryos that I have probably have like, I think they said a 15% chance in live birth, versus my other embryos had more like a 45 to 60% chance depending on the embryo. So since I had 2 of these, and then also the mosaic, which also will have like statistically a little bit lower rate of live birth, I asked my doctor if he would recommend whether or not I should do 1 more cycle. And he's like, if you can afford it, I would. He's like, I don't agree with the stats that ChatGPT was giving. He thinks it was a bit conservative. And like even ChatGPT will say, yeah, like we're being a little conservative with our probabilities. But like obviously with something as serious and life-changing as this, you want to be conservative. So anyway, so we decided to do 1 more cycle after the genetic testing came back, and we did the retrieval yesterday, and I was already nervous about it because like I had noticed this pattern that I had in some previous cycles happen where my 1 ovary like stops responding for like a couple days, and then the follicle sizes diverge in size, and the 1 ovary has like fewer follicles in it because like some of them will just disappear. Anyway, so I wasn't having a good feeling about this cycle because of how I've seen my body respond previously, and I even like had a bit of a meltdown on, I think it was like Thursday. I went in for monitoring on Thursday, and my doctor was like, okay, things are looking great, let's trigger tonight. And he had said that he thought that we would get between like 5 to 15 mature eggs, which isn't bad. I was thinking we were gonna get maybe around 12, but I was also hoping that we wouldn't trigger until Friday. So I was really hoping that it's all kind of like timing, and you want as many as possible to be above a certain size without too many being too big, if that makes any sense. So anyway, then after I left the clinic, I noticed what my estrogen level was, and I know that for me, what each mature egg typically makes in estrogen, because like they make estrogen when they're developing, and as they get bigger they make more and more estrogen, so it's predictive of like how many mature eggs you'll have. Anyway, so I saw what my level was after I left the clinic, and then like immediately started panicking because it was like saying that I was gonna have like 8 or 9, probably like 8 mature, and I was like, shit, like this isn't good. So I ended up like, I was emailing with various people at my clinic, trying to speak with my doctor to make sure that he had noticed this and he still wanted to proceed with me triggering that night. I ended up going into the clinic in the afternoon, because I was so like worried, and thankfully, even though like the nurse I had been emailing with dismissed me, thankfully thankfully it's my dog. Thankfully my nurse's admin put my chart on a stack of charts for my doctor to review, because he not only sees patients at my location, but he has a few like satellite locations where women go in for the tests, but then like he's their doctor, so he'll look at their test results from the morning in the like later afternoon and call them with directives of like when they should be coming in, when they should be taking certain medications, what the doses are going to be, things like that. So luckily she put my chart on his stack of patients to review from his other locations, and thankfully he was like able to call me that night, because I was like so worried, like I was freaking out, because like it's all time sensitive, and if somehow he had like not noticed the estrogen level, and like, because you know he has so many patients, like he has double the number of patients of the other doctors at my clinic. He's just, and it's not about the money for him, he's such a good person. Anyway, so I was panicking, and luckily he was able to call me and reassure me. So we went ahead with the trigger, but yeah, we didn't get the result that I'm sure like either of us were hoping for. So we did the retrieval yesterday and we got 9, which isn't bad, but much like I was fearing, my fertilization rate was really low this time, and my fertilization rate was like 45%. We got 4 of 9 fertilized. They're so I think they retrieved 12 in total, and so my clinic has one of the best labs in the world, and so they took the 3 that were immature and they were able to like mature them overnight in the lab. So they apparently exceed them today, or like tried to fertilize them today. And I suspect from previous cycles that I have done, they will be, all of them, I'm pretty sure all of them will have fertilized tomorrow, which is why I don't understand why my mature eggs, when they're retrieved, sometimes have like a low fertilization rate, but then the ones that are matured in the lab overnight have like literally 100% mature or fertilization rate. Like it doesn't even, I think I've asked my doctor and he's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. The problem with the lab matured eggs, it's called rescue IVM, rescue in vitro maturation. So it has a pretty low blast rate, like getting to like a good sized embryo, basically like a day 6 embryo as an example. The good thing is that if they do make it to blast, they have an equal euploidy rate, or like rate of being genetically normal as all your other eggs, which is why actually one of my little D-grade embryos was from the first IVF cycle I ever did, which had a lot of these rescue IVM eggs in it. Anyway, so yeah, apologize for the appearance. Like, I'm not doing well. The next week to really kind of like 3 weeks are going to be super hard. So I got my day 1 report today, and then my day 3, generally speaking, like over 90% of eggs that are fertilized will make it to day 3. So that's not a big feat for most people. The big hurdle for most people is going from day 3 to day 5, 6, because that's when like from day 1 through 3, only one the like embryo develop or the egg development, embryo development. I don't know. It's mostly running off of like one copy of the chromosome. I think it's the female chromosomes, or maybe it's the male. I forget. But then after day 3, the like opposite, the other chromosomes from like the other parent get turned on, and that's when you start seeing a lot of embryos. They call it arresting. So yeah, so I like ran my statistics from all my previous cycles, and I should basically get 0.8 of a euploid embryo from this cycle based on my past cycles. I just really hope that this cycle isn't a total bust. Like, I mean, it's so stressful because the reality is that when you only have 4 fertilized eggs growing, like even one can move the needle so much in terms of the outcome. And it turns out actually that the second cycle that I did this year, which was with my first doctor, none of them were genetically normal. And that was a cycle that I got the most number of embryos from her, because the previous 2 cycles that I did with her, I only got 1 embryo each time. Shockingly, both of those ended up being genetically normal, but the cycle that I had 2 embryos with her, neither of them were, which is called like a failed cycle. It's like literally throwing money down the toilet to get nothing. So it's like possible that could happen this time. It's not even unlikely. Like, there's a real possibility it could happen this time. So I'm pretty stressed out about it. Yeah, IVF really sucks, and I hope that none of you ever have to go through with it. It's not the procedure that sucks, it's the roller coaster of like watching your hopes and your dreams crash and burn occasionally after spending tons and tons of money. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Good night.